On October 1st, 2015, an Oregon Community College student opened fire on campus, killing 9 people and injuring many more. Media reports have described the gunman as mentally unstable, yet he had passed federal background checks necessary to purchase firearms and possessed 14 guns. So, do background checks really work? Well, before 1994, federal law didn't require gun dealers to run background checks, and many people just lied about their eligibility to own a firearm. But after an assassination attempt on Ronald Reagan, Congress passed legislation requiring federal background checks. These checks are completed using an FBI database. Factors that can disqualify a gun buyer include being a convicted criminal or fugitive, using illegal drugs, mental illness, illegal immigration, being dishonorably discharged from the Army, and renouncing U.S. citizenship. Since 1998, the FBI has processed more than 200 million applications and denied only about 1 million of them. But with so many high-profile mass shootings in the last few decades, many are saying that current background checks aren't doing enough.
Our media and our politicians tend to focus on 2 things: banning certain kinds of weapons and keeping weapons out of the hands of certain kinds of people.
None of us want crazy people having guns. Look what happened.
I'm afraid that that semi-automatic weapon is going to fall into the hands of a crazy person.
A dozen more killers, 100 more. How can we possibly even guess how many, given our nation's refusal to create an active national database of the mentally ill?
That's Wayne LaPierre, head spokesperson for the National Rifle Association.
An active national database of the mentally ill.
Even the nation's premier gun lobby believes that a database to keep guns away from the mentally ill seems like a good idea.
Attempted to make it clear that mental illness is not a major contributing factor to most mass murders, and that gun control is the real solution. But when addressing the less common and more frequently discussed public massacres, there are certain specific patterns that emerge. A majority of the attackers have been white men showing signs of mental instability who had acquired their guns legally. And this is relatively unsurprising. Gun background checks are limited in their ability to check private mental health records, and mental health care in the United States overall is lacking. In 2012, it was reported that roughly 90 million Americans lived in an area without adequate access to mental health care, which is also expensive and massively stigmatized within American culture.
We're from Orlando, where there are reports of a shooting at a nightclub.
We've heard so many horrifying stories from inside that nightclub.
How many more of these mass tragedies do we have to live through? This is the worst in American history.
People need protection. They have to protect. So the bad guys will have the assault rifles, and the people trying to protect themselves will be standing there with a BB gun.
And as Americans, we are united in grief, in outrage, and in resolve to defend our people.